Shalom Israel. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, all honor, all glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Kakadash, the Barnes Apostles, and else great millstone for teaching us his truth, peace, and blessings to the hopeful, like the visible, and Shalom. Yahweh is the name of the heavenly Hebrew, Bahashim is the name, and Yahweh Shai is the name of the begotten Son. Back on the lesson, and today going to the news at hand, dealing with the so-called whistleblower coming out and saying that the U.S., the military, has so-called UFOs, as well as in more recent news, a video coming out, as well as articles going to how, a so-called UFO crash landed, and, some people giving a testimony of seeing so-called aliens, which openly go into how, fishy it is and how, something seems, off about it, right? Because now you have the Pentagon coming out and speaking on these things, trying to make it seem like what the people were saying is true, especially dealing with the whistleblower. Because ultimately, when you see things coming out dealing with the chariots, these doubles are always, diverting away, pushing the attention somewhere else, not really speaking on the topic at hand. But now you have a so-called whistleblower coming out and saying that the U.S. has, so-called UFOs. Now they're trying the hardest to, defend against it. Something just seems, it's like something doesn't seem right. Especially going to this video right here, which I do want to get, as well as a few others. Because the testimony they gave just doesn't seem, legit, for lack of better words. But let's read a quick article right here going to the whistleblower, which I'll get another video going a little more in depth into it. But now it says a whistleblower claims the U.S. has alien vehicles, but where's the proof? And now, once again, as I mentioned, you have the Pentagon and all these people trying to, they're the hardest to so-called, defend against it. But we know how Esau Edom operates and how he works. When it comes to the truth, when with the actual chariots, they're always once again diverting the attention away, not really speaking on it, But it's a whistleblower claims the U.S. has alien vehicles, but where's the proof? Now, the experts in UFO lore suggest the assertion should be taken with grain of salt and demand to see evidence of the non-human crafts, which I believe they came out and gave a, what's what I'm looking for? I believe it was in that news video, which I'll get after this, go more into it. But some prominent experts have expressed growing skepticism over whether the U.S. is harboring UFOs, which they are not. Especially, even a few months back, where you had these doubles come out and say that they shot down, some UFOs, like over, 4 or 5 of them, whatever the case was, But when you actually look at these videos of these chariot sightings, how fast they move, and even in the scriptures going to have, the power that they hold. These doubles absolutely stand no chance. And they didn't shoot down no chariot, man. But you kind of see how this double is trying to push a narrative. Because now you're starting to see more and more things just popping up dealing with the chariots, Because then you had this right here. And then a few days after, you had a so-called UFO crash land and someone see so-called aliens, As we had, recently, which I made a lesson a couple days ago, probably the other day, going to the wildfires that took place. But let's go, continue on this quick. Now it says, as the government whistleblower who made the extraordinary claims has gone to suggest the U.S. had also recovered alien bodies. And as scripts go into 2 Corinthians 2:11, how we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. So we can see right through this double, and as many of the scriptures touch on, and go into in Psalm 55, Psalm 58, how this devil is a natural-born liar. So take these articles that you see and the things these devils coming out saying with a grain of salt. That's why scripture goes in Isaiah 33:6, how wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. Because we know what's going on and what's real and, what's not. Because if it's not according to his word and what's written, then obviously something's wrong, Something's not adding up. Now, the David Grush, a former intelligence official who led analysis of unexplained anomalous phenomenon, which now they're calling them UAPs, within a U.S. Department of Defense agency, caused headlines around the world with his assertion that the U.S. had been collecting non-human craft for decades, which once again they haven't. That prompted the U.S. House of Representatives to announce an investigation in the Grush alleged allegation, with a hearing on the issue expected to be announced in the next few weeks. Now they're gonna, come out and try to defend it even more. Say, we don't have this, we don't have that, this and that. But if it was really true, they wouldn't even speak on it. They'll treat it as if it was just something completely crazy, And it just goes to show that something is off here, because they're trying too hard to make it seem like this is real, dealing with, them having so-called UFOs and even, some being so-called shot down. What's gonna look a few months back? They made articles came out and said that they've shot down unidentified flying objects, this and that. But once again, something seems off. Which I had a few points I was wanting to bring up, which I had in my notes right here. Which is gonna be the title right here on the bottom right here. Just dive into all these topics, but I wrote down right here that if it was true, these devils would have ignored it like they always do. They're trying too hard to make it seem legit, and you can really see it. Now I'm right here, and we'll dive a little more into it after. Now, it's important to have this truth so you can tell what's real and what's not according to what's written, as I just brought up earlier. Because once again, this does not seem, legit, which you will see in the videos too, when you really go into it, dealing with that so-called, UFO, crash landing, and some people, seeing, 10-foot figures, which, could be the angels, right? Revealing themselves to those people, but you can kind of see that something's, a little off here. It's like if I sound like a broken record or repeating certain things or just rambling a little bit, but Lord's will, I'm getting the point across. So I plays real quick. Probably get 1 or 2 more videos just to get the point across, to go a bit more into the whistleblower and all that. And take it with a grain of salt of what these devils say, dealing with these, articles that are coming out with these, whistleblowers and the chariots being shot down, this and that, which will go into it, because these devils stand no chance once again. But let's finish off right here.
I don't know. I'm so nervous right now. I have butterflies, bro. Everyone thought a shooting star. Then these people say there's aliens in their backyard. Whew, okay.
We just see in a corner of our eye something fall down from the sky, and it was with light. And when it hit down, it was like a big impact, and we felt it. We felt like an energy, and then we hear like a lot of footsteps near us. It's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and it's looking at us, and it's still there.
Okay, where is this on your property?
In my backyard.
And you can just hear in the voice, he doesn't have, that fear as you said he had. Because you'll see in the video, he comes out pretty much, I think, a couple days after, if not a couple hours, of him, explaining the situation. And you can see he's reading off a script. He's constantly touching his phone and scrolling up this and that. And, in his testimony, he said that he was pretty much struck with fear. He couldn't move when he was looking at the beings or the aliens that he said he saw. Then he went to call 911, yet there was no fear in his voice. So we'll play this quick video over here, finish it off, and then we'll dive into it more.
I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually, we're terrified of it.
So there's 2 people or 2 subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it. And big eyes.
And you see, that's the type of image that these doubles like to push, within the movies, the cartoons, as I mentioned earlier, of where you have them making it seem like those beings that are in those ships, those so-called UFOs, are green and gray little men. Once again, in reality, they are angels that are operating and are in those vehicles. But that's the type of image that they're trying to push, onto the people. So that when they see these chariots, they think of, aliens, green little men. No.
Wow. They're shiny eyes and...
So listen, like I was mentioning earlier, something just seems fishy. Could be, Esau Edom, pushing, his narrative, But let's continue.
And they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
I'm not going to BS you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious.
And going back, mentioning his voice, there's no fear in it. If you see a 9 to 10 foot tall person in your backyard, I would expect some fear to be in your voice. Especially at nighttime. You hear a crash, and then you see once again a 9 to 10 foot tall person, and then, there's a 10 foot tall person, a subject in my backyard. Yeah, I was just working on my car. You know, telling a full story. You know.
Serious?
I don't believe in it, you know, but what I saw right now, I do believe in it.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. You know, it could be legit, but you know, I'm kind of catering towards it, kind of being, like words, fabricated to the very least. You know.
How do you like that
Especially dealing with this right here. And this is a video I was talking about. Him up top where he's pretty much speaking on his testimony and going to the situation that happened, and
Simpsons pre-programming right here? This is the kid who supposedly saw a UFO land in his backyard, and this is the video he made to
also has another point. They said that it was in their backyard, but somehow they're not carrying their phones, they're not recording it, yet they'll run to the police and try to call them and say that aliens are in the backyard without any proof.
Close the truth. He is wearing a
wouldn't you want some proof, video footage of the things that you are seeing to prove that you aren't lying, especially calling the police to tell them about this?
Simpsons hoodie with the checkerboard Masonic Lodge floor, the duality.
As you know, Simpsons is also known for its particular programming. The images that are pushed in the Simpsons, dealing with 9/11 and many other things.
The as above, so below, black and white, going on for mind control.
This is a good catch right here.
Control, for programming, for we all know how the Simpsons supposedly predict the future. How do they do that, right? Well, it's very spiritual in my perspective, but I want to show you a few things. So if you go back to 1948 in Simpson County, Kentucky, you have a P-51 Mustang crash into the ground because it was chasing a UFO.
And so lucky it's kind of long. I don't want to make it a super big lesson, but I do want to get these points out the way, and dive to the scriptures, because ultimately main point is to, not trust these devils, and the things that they say. Take it with a grain of salt. When you look at history, this devil's not to be trusted,
Oh, well, if you want more details, here's the story. January 7, 1948, a 25-year-old Captain Thomas, he was a Kentucky Air National Guard pilot. He died flying his P-51 Mustang fighter plane right in Simpson County, Franklin, Kentucky, because it was on the pursuit of an unidentified flying object. The event was among the most publicized early UFO incidents. What a coincidence, right? Simpson County, Simpsons always have the symbolism with the aliens, and obviously the whole idea of them predicting the future with COVID, with 9/11, all sorts of things. Trump, all of the things that they predict, well, it's programming. For that is the psychological war that we are going through, the spiritual war that we battle against. Now, this whole story of this UFO landing in this kid's backyard, if you guys have heard it, the audio, the 911 call, tell me how that kid is so calm.
And that's also the point I was bringing up, especially, at his young age. There was no fear in his voice, and especially at nighttime, you working out your car, you hear a crash, and you see a 9 to 10 foot tall subject, as that, lady in the call mentioned, or the kid, in his backyard. Wouldn't you be freaking? He said he was stuck in fear when they were looking at him, but then he calls 911. I was working on my car, we heard a crash, this and that, and it just something's off here.
If I was the one who witnessed that, I want to be able to tell you guys, oh, I'm strong, I'm super mature, I would handle it really well, I'd be super calm, and oh, the Lord rebuke you. No, I would freak the hell out. And, I'm a sinful man. I would be dropping F-bombs going, what, do you see that? Do you see that? An 8-foot freaking giant crashed in my backyard. I would be freaking out. I'd be calling. I would not be, hey, yeah, there's someone in my backyard. Yeah, it landed. He's 8 foot tall. Yeah, there's an 8 foot tall creature. What? This is a psyop, guys. They want to push this alien agenda. They want to mind control you. Keep your eyes on Jesus. There ain't no such thing as aliens. They're falling.
And what's in Yahushua? That's the true name of our Lord, not Jesus.
angels or demons, all right? It's all a psyop.
And you gotta be careful with the last part too, but, dealing with this so-called aliens, they're not aliens, they're angels that are in those vehicles, and then, guess what, they're not green, gray little men, just to get that out the way. But,
UFO.
this is the other last video I do want to get, like, cause I don't want to stall the intro too long, because I do want to dive into the scriptures and get these points out the way, so, this is also, just dive into that, so-called whistleblower coming out and saying that the U.S. the military has, so-called UFOs and all that. So play the
UFOs exist. The U.S. government found quite a number of them, and they are indeed of non-human origin. Those are the explosive allegations from a former intelligence officer tonight in a whistleblower complaint that the Inspector General is taking very seriously. 36-year-old Air Force veteran David Grush is exposing what he called.
And once again, if this was really true, these devils would not be speaking on it as they have done with many other things. And you can just see how hard they're trying to make it seem like this is legit. You have the Pentagon coming out and trying to defend themselves against just one guy. Something seems off here.
A top secret military program that has reportedly found wreckage of fully intact UFOs. The government now calls them UAPs, or unidentified.
And what you devils do not have any of the chariots of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Matter of fact, you can see multiple videos coming out of these chariots, these so-called UFOs being shot at and just completely dodging everything, deflecting missiles. You devils absolutely stand no chance, especially with the immense speed that these chariots have. You can see multiple videos coming out of people slowing it down by so many times just to even see a glimpse of that chariot, man, with how fast it was moving. Yet these devils think that they are able to shoot down chariots as they have been trying to push these past few months. And now a so-called whistleblower coming out and saying that the U.S. the military has UFOs. No, they don't.
First.
And sure, they may try to copy and mimic the so-called UFOs, the chariots, and you will not even be able to come close. You will stand no chance once again.
Evidence it might be true. The Inspector General has called Grush's complaint urgent and credible. Tonight, we have a world television exclusive interview with the whistleblower in which he claims we not only have the aircraft, but the government has been keeping much of its secret from Congress and from the public.
Yesterday, for example, a former Air Force officer who worked for
And listen, look how many people are really speaking on this.
years in military intelligence came forward as a whistleblower to reveal that the U.S. government.
And if this was really true, they would treat the guy like he was crazy. That he don't know what he's speaking on. Now they're trying their hardest to defend against it. Ultimately, trying their hardest to paint an image here.
Has physical evidence of crashed non-human-made aircraft, as well as the bodies of the pilots who flew those aircraft. The Pentagon has spent decades studying these otherworldly remains in order to build more technologically advanced weapons systems.
And also, just look how many years it took for these devils to come out and admit that there are so-called UFOs, chariots out here, But now they're trying their hardest to defend against this guy, a solo guy, saying that the U.S. has UFOs, like anyone has said that before, But let's continue on. 2 Corinthians 2:11. Now it says, "Let Satan should avenge us, for we are not ignorant of his device." And that was the main point of the lesson. Just take what this devil says with a grain of salt. As you see in many scriptures, which we're about to dive into right now, how this devil is not to be trusted. And of course, we're not saying that this is impossible. We're not dealing with that whistleblower saying that they have UFOs, but dealing with the situation with that testimony that that dude came out with, saying that they saw 9 to 10 foot beings, this and that. But I'm ultimately catering towards it being false. Sure, it could have been the angels revealing themselves to them, but with evidence that was at hand, things seem fishy. But now in Psalm 55:21, now it says, "The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords." So just a sly tongue, man, or a silver tongue, as people like to say. Now, Psalms 58:3. Now, it says, the wicked are estranged from the womb. Now, who's the wicked? We'll have the book of Malachi. I believe the first chapter in the 4th verse. Esau, Edom. Which let's get that real quick. Just get the wicked. Yeah, Malachi 1:4. Just to get the point out the way. As the words Edom said. See that name right there, Edom. Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus says the Lord of hosts. They shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh Shemashai had indignation forever. So there you go. Now, Psalm 58:3. One more time. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. See what the NLT has to say, or the other translations. Let's see if we get the NLT. Right here. As I said, the NLT version, though, these wicked people are born sinners. Even from birth, they have lied and gone their own way. So showing these devils are not to be trusted, especially with them coming out saying that these past couple months that they shot down unidentified flying objects. Now they're saying, because ultimately they're trying to push narrative here. Now they're saying now they've captured and they have UFOs and all that. No. No. You devils stand no chance against the chariots of Yahweh by Shemashai. The angels are operating and are in those vehicles. You stand no chance. And when you go into the scriptures, these devils are going to be a walk in the park. Go look at 2 Ezra 13th chapter. You're going to have these chariots turning people into dust, man. Beaming people down. As well as going at the book of Ezekiel, the first chapter, describing and depicting what the angels look like. And that video when he was giving his testimony, saying they have big eyes and they're gray, when ultimately that's not what's written in the Bible. Nor what the angels are depicted as. But I don't make this a super long lesson, so I'm gonna give these few points right here and just close it out. But you can go back to Ezekiel, the first chapter, and you're describing what the angels look like, as well as going to those chariots, the wheel in the midst of the wheel. I think we mentioned also in Ezekiel 4. Go into it also. But Ecclesiastes 12:10, I said, never trust thine enemy, for like his iron rusts, so is his wickedness. Which I can probably make that a part 2 or a follow-up to this lesson right here. But Ecclesiastes 12:10, because there are not green or gray little men in those chariots, those so-called UFOs. That's the type of image that these devils are trying to push out. And depict, the chariots and the so-called UFOs as. Look at Independence Day and the movie Nope. They're trying to depict the angels, the chariots, as something completely evil. But Ecclesiastes 12:10 says, never trust an enemy, for like his iron rusts, so is his wickedness. So take what the devil says with a grain of salt. That's why we have the scriptures. The Lord gave us his knowledge and understanding for a reason. And when we see these things, we apply it to the scriptures. And if it doesn't line up with this book, with this Bible, then obviously, something's off there. But let's get Isaiah 33:6, as I kind of mentioned earlier. Now it says, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. The Lord has revealed his word and understanding unto us, men. And the strength of salvation, the fear of Yahweh Shemashai is his treasure. And this knowledge, his word, is going to keep us sane and stable, especially coming into these last days. And that's why you also have many people, freaking out and bugging out, not knowing what's going on. Especially just completely believing, what this devil says with, full 100% trust, if it doesn't line up with the Bible, with this book, then there's a problem, especially, coming to the last days, as you see, Esau Edom, has his Project Blue Beam, and as you see, a lot of people are pushing out, he's going to, he's going to try to, fake a second coming, of the Lord, this and that, but, we have the scriptures, we have this knowledge and understanding the Lord gave us. And if there's a so-called white man coming back, then we know what's up, because scriptures, go into it, and the Lord being a dark-skinned man. The Lord coming back with ships, with chariots, so-called UFOs, So why the Lord gave us his knowledge to understand for a reason, so apply it, especially dealing with these situations that you see. And as you see right here, never trust an enemy, Psalm 55, Psalm 53, going to tell the devil is a natural born liar. So when you have these doubles come out and say that they've shot down so-called UFOs, they have UFOs, this and that, well, obviously, we're not to trust our enemy. But when you go into the scriptures, also, these devils just ultimately stand no chance. It's just illogical, But you put this main point, I don't even stall it out. It's like if I kind of ramble a little bit, but Lord willing, I got the point across, and you were edified. I do want to give all praises, all honor, all glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Al-Shai, by Hashem, Kakadash, double unto the apostles, and all the great millstone teachings is true, peace and blessings to the whole collective Israel, and Shalom, see you next one, Lord willing.